Welcome to another virtual Live Talks Los Angeles event. We welcome Diane von Furstenberg and Bozoma Saint John to Live Talks Los Angeles. We invite you to visit our YouTube channel for over 300 conversations. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where our handle is Live Talks LA. Diane's book is Own It, The Secret to Life. She is the internationally renowned fashion designer and philanthropist. She's been a champion for women her entire life, supporting and empowering emerging women leaders across the globe. Interviewing her is Bozoma. She is the Global Chief Marketing Officer at Netflix. She has previously held leadership roles at Uber, Pepsi, Apple Music, and Endeavor, and recently launched a podcast with Katie Couric, Back to Biz with Katie and Boz. I'm Ted Haptagaber, founder and producer of the series. They will talk, and towards the end, I will pose some of the questions that came from you in the audience. Take it from here, Boz.
All right. This is such a wonderful, wonderful topic that you have written about. I mean, the title really says it all. Own it. You can say it in so many different ways and mean so many different things. So just to start off, how do you say own it? You say it with oomph? Like, do you say it quietly? Do you say it as a question? How do you say own it?
Own it. Own it. Own it is something you can apply to anything. You can apply it if you are diagnosed with a disease. You can apply it with your children. You can apply it if your husband misbehaves. You could apply it if you have a flood in your bathroom. The whole point is that whatever the situation is, pleasant or not pleasant, the best way to deal with it is to own it. It's all about the truth.
That's incredible. I definitely feel like I own it.
You certainly do. If anyone owns it, you do.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Well,
I feel affirmed.
let me tell you, first of all, it all started with in charge. So, for example, people always ask me, what did you want to do when you were growing up? And I would say, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew the kind of woman I wanted to be. I wanted to be a woman in charge. That means that I wanted to be a woman independent. I wanted a woman who could pay her bills and who basically had a man's life in a woman's body. I was lucky. I became that woman at age 28, and I became that woman because of a little dress. So people then would say, who do you dress? I mean, who is your customer? Who do you dress? And I would also say the woman in charge. So in charge was always kind of the umbrella around, over me, myself, the brand, and everything that I do. So about 2 years ago, every year I do lots of things for International Women's Day. We do talks and panels and all of that. And the theme was in charge. And so in order not to appear, because if you say in charge, it could appear to be a little aggressive and maybe a little aggressive towards men. And it's not at all. To be in charge for men and women is to be first and foremost, it's a commitment to ourselves. It's owning who we are. We own our imperfection, they become assets. We own our vulnerability, we turn it into strength. Mm-hmm. So the book originally was going to be called In Charge. But because everything always led to own it, I decided to call it Own It.
I love that. But I feel like In Charge is a subset of Own It. It feels like they belong in the same universe. So it very much feels, yes, it has the same kind of effervescence as it were.
Because also it's about the truth, you see. To be in charge is to own who you are. To face it. It's about the truth. And so they are absolutely similar.
I just really adore that. Now, here's the real question. Why did you write this particular book? Regardless of the name, what did you think was important about writing The Secret to Life?
Okay,
I
well,
think
first
really,
of all, it's the publisher came to me, and after I started about the movement, in charge movement, and they say we would like you to do. We do really well with these small books that are guides. Where they are gifts, and people quote you all the time. You do all these fragment of truth and aphorism. We would love to have a book like that from you. And therefore I said, oh, okay, because I have reached the age where I like to be able to use my voice and my knowledge, my experience, my connections, my resources in order to help other women to be the women they want to be, because I was lucky to be a woman I wanted to be. So they approached me, and I wanted to do it. First, I wrote it in prose, but I thought it was a little condescending, and I like to be inclusive. I don't like to I don't like, who am I to give advice? But if I give advice to you and me together, then it's a different thing. So I didn't like the tone of the prose. And because I love words, words are so powerful. Words have energy, words have power. I started to write all the words that matter to me, the words that speak to me, and some of the words who don't speak to me. And I started every page in my book, where I was writing, every letter had a page, every letter had a page, and I would write all the words alphabetically that spoke to me. And that's when I had the idea of to do it like an A to Z, like a dictionary. And it's really fun because using the words like that, sometimes it's a very short definition, definition of what I think. Sometimes it's an anecdote, sometimes it's a personal story, sometimes it's very serious, sometimes it's fun. But everything goes back to own it. And then own it. First, I had written own it, the secret of life. But I thought again, that's so pretentious. I don't like that. And a friend of mine said, how about secret to life? And I said, yes.
See, that's how you know that words are so important. Just changing
I
that
know.
one little conjecture, like it just changes the meaning of it.
Completely.
And I love the fact that you essentially wrote the A to Z, which gives us a real understanding of the things that you're thinking about when it comes to just life and experiences. One of the things I love best about the book, aside from all of the depth in it, which we're going to get to, by the way, is also the design of the book.
Oh, yes.
And given that you have such an incredible vision, incredible eye, that's primarily what we know you for, and love your taste. I think it's really fascinating that as I flipped through the pages, there were certain words that were underlined or circled. Can you tell us about why it is that you decided to do that?
Okay, first of all, I worked with a fantastic young Dutch designer, and I explained him. I gave him the 5 signature colors that I wanted to use: the yellow, green, orange, and I gave him that. And I also said about the alphabet, and I also said that, I like to think of. I like to fantasize that I am an oracle because I love Greek temples. So even in the stripe of the onut, it's like, it's like the black and white of a temple. And also because colors and black and white is very DVF signature. Then I told him, and so he made these beautiful letters. This, for example, is the D. You see, you have the black and white. And then I told him about sutras. Sutras, which I talk about in the book, are words of wisdom, but it's also ribbons. And so you have these wonderful thing of, and then what they did, which I did not know, is they kept, that was a surprise. They kept my underlining. When I gave them the manuscript, I underlined it and they kept it. Look how pretty that is.
Yes, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful. I mean, it's just gorgeous. And I love the fact that that was a surprise to you, because it was a surprise to me for sure. I don't think I've
I
ever seen a
know,
book
I
do that.
know. It was a surprise, and I don't want to take the credit when I don't deserve it. So look
you
how pretty the
definitely,
letter is.
oh yes. Well, you inspired it. And so I think that deserves some credit for sure.
I know. So that's why I want to write to you, PQRS, as the Sutra.
Oh,
Here
yeah.
it is. I want to read you the Sutra.
Yes.
In Sanskrit, Sutra means an aphorism or a rule. It also means a ribbon that links things together. Deepak Chopra taught me certain sutras to affirm and to practice. Sutras for peace, harmony, laughter, love, creativity, affluence, abundance, integration, truth, freedom, knowledge, infinity, immortality, enlightenment, and holiness. These are sutras that I repeat always all my life. On my long swims, I practice thankfulness, and my gratitude becomes a prayer. I thank God for the protection of all the people who are meaningful in my life and channel their happiness. I pray for them to be who they want to be. And so the sutras were very important, and I was so happy that the designer of the book made it, you see?
Oh gosh. Yes, yes. Oh,
So which word is your favorite word?
oh gosh, I had so many favorite words. Okay, gosh, I had so many favorite words. Gosh. Okay, let's pick one. Let's see. I also just made notes of a lot of them. Um gosh, let's go with hair. Hair was a word that I absolutely loved. Do you want to read that?
Yes, sure. Hair. Hair is our most valued head decoration, for which we spend extraordinary amount of time and money. As a young girl in Belgium, I hated my dark curly hair. All the other girls had long, blonde, straight hair, and mine was unmanageable, especially with the constant Brussels rain. I spent long hours ironing it and avoiding humidity. At 28, at the peak of success, I had my picture taken by my friend Ara Galan, a photographer and previously a hairdresser, for the cover of Interview. My hair was long and straight, and I felt beautiful. After we finished, he took a water spray and started wetting my hair. "What are you doing?" I screamed. I was horrified. Ara was smiling, reassuring me that we already had the cover, but insisting it wanted to try something else. I surrendered and posed for another 20 minutes while my wet hair was drying, naturally revealing the curls. A few days later, he proudly proposed to the magazine 2 cover trials, one with straight hair and another one much wilder with my wet curly hair. The wild one won with enthusiasm, and since that day, I have worn my hair the way nature intended. I realized curly hair was who I was. Whether I liked it or not, I had to own it. Like a rite of passage, this acceptance of myself changed my life. Any woman with curly hair understands that, right?
Understands it so deeply.
You have black hair too. You have curly hair too.
Yes. And in its natural state, of course, it's a big afro. And the reason why I loved this particular word and your story about it was really, yes, at the end when when you say that this acceptance of myself changed my life. Because so much time, especially as a Black woman, right, is spent trying to
Totally.
be one of everybody else.
Oh my God. And you do really spend your life. You check the humidity and this and that. I mean, it's a nightmare.
Yes.
And that was such a freedom. But I
Oh.
have to say, there were other moments in my life after that, that
Mm.
for a short time, I went to straighten my hair. And
Mm.
those were years that I was insecure. So it really, but because what it is just to accept who you are. And the truth is your morphology, who you are, you're supposed to have curly hair. So the volume suits you.
Yes, yes. And the volume is so beautiful, you know, so
Look at your volume.
well, I mean, I don't stop with the hair. I love big hair. But interestingly enough, I had a very personal experience when I was at Apple. I was the head of marketing for Apple Music, which was, you know, something that was new to the market, and we just built it. And I had to present at the Apple keynote, which, of course, the stage was made famous by Steve Jobs, of course. But a Black woman had never been on that stage presenting any tech. And in order to get on that stage, you know, of course, I wanted to look my best. I wanted to be my best. And I decided that with all of the other things that I had to do and had to know, I did want to make a statement. And I used my hair to do it. And I wore it in its big curly afro on the stage. And so when I read this, I was like, oh my God, Diane understands. You know, Diane understands.
Let me ask you a question. Did anyone say, are you sure about your hair?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I
yes.
know.
They said,
I
"Well,
know.
you want to pull it
Gail
back?"
King.
You know?
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gail King, the same. She looks so great with curly hair. She said, well, the producer don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. You know, it's been a matter of of trying to be almost like polite or, you know,
I know.
nice. You know, it's like the nice
I
girls
know.
have straight pulled back hair,
I know.
right?
I know.
The wild girls have like the curly hair that's uncontrollable, apparently. I don't know. Maybe that's actually kind of true. No.
I know. It's
You know, there were so many words in here. I want to ask you another one, if that's okay. I bookmarked it here, which I just so irresistible.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Irresistible.
Okay, why don't you read it?
Irresistible is to be overwhelmingly tempting or seductive. I thought that was so powerful because, you know, sometimes we think of irresistibility in sexual ways, right? But it can also apply to so many different interactions. You know, that it's not just romantic, right?
No, but I mean, irresistible means you cannot resist. So obviously, seduction is part of it.
Yes.
And it's a temptation. And I love irresistible. I love words that make noise like that, like provocative.
Yes.
I love provocative.
Yes.
But I mean, then some words, one are very simple, but I thought it was for addiction. Where's my addiction? Because, you know, I wrote them by letter, but I did not, but within letters, they're not alphabetically because I want them to come as I had thought about it. Addiction. When pleasure becomes prison, it's addiction.
Yes. Ooh. When pleasure becomes prison. Yes, 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 yes. I mean, that is the, how do you know when you are in that prison?
I don't know. I don't really have a very addictive personality, I think. Mm-hmm. But it means that you can't do without it, right? So then it becomes an addiction. Yeah. Whatever it is.
Yes, 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 yes.
But that, you see, the magic of words, the power of words is so important. My mother used to be so strict to how I use the words, but she was so right, because words have energy, but words have power. Yeah. You can make things happen with words. nothing would happen without words, you know. And that's why I'm so happy that I actually, you know, when I started to do it as a dictionary, A to Z, that's when COVID happened. And so all of a sudden, you know, the world stopped. I was at home, and everybody is much more reflective and thinking and deep. So it was actually an incredibly therapeutical a moment to do this, because I had to think so carefully. For example, I'm going to read you this, because you and yourself, that's really okay. You and yourself are the two words that I kept wanting to use in this book, and yet each time I did, it felt patronizing. So I use we or ourselves instead, and that felt right. Anything to learn from this? Maybe to remind ourselves that being part of others make us more understanding, inclusive, and helpful. Loving ourselves, yet being demanding on ourselves, is the best way to remind others to do the same. You see what I mean? Because if I say, for example, the most important relationship in life is the one you have with yourself. Okay, that's fine. It's a little, who am I to say that to you? But if I say to you, the most important relationship in life is the one we have with ourselves, then I am part of you. You know? So it's just little kind of detail, but it's the nuances and the tone that is different. And that those things are also secret to life. You know, we all do the same thing. We sleep, we eat, we make love, we do everything the same. What makes us different is how we do it.
You know, gosh, what you just said is just it's so eye-opening, because you're right that if you say it for somebody else, it does feel patronizing.
That's right.
And it is something that I found missing in this book, is that it's not patronizing. You know,
I hate patronizing.
I mean,
I cannot stand
things.
I hate when people condescending to me, so I will not do it to others.
Oh yeah, exactly. But it almost is hard to avoid in a book like this, where, you know,
that's why
just
changing the pronoun makes all the difference.
Makes all the difference. And you know what? I don't think I consciously recognized that until you just said it. You know, because you can read a lot of books like this, like a guide to something, and feel like you're being just told what to do.
Told, right?
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm telling us, I am part of you. I mean, we are all part, and that to me makes all the difference. All the difference. It's like people who say people who work for them. I would never say that. I always say people who work with me. You know, and it's a detail, but it's such a, I don't know. It's just the kind of thing to do.
It is, and
that's how it's also about paying attention. So since we mention it, I'm going to read to you the word attention, because that's also a word I love.
Yes.
Attention. Once we pay attention to details and to others, our lives become richer. It's like adding colors to a drawing, turning it into a painting, or walking into a forest. Some people will see trees, others will see a universe. It's nice. I like it. You know, I've been talking about this book now for 2 weeks, and I'm actually, it's funny because I'm actually proud of it. I'm actually proud of it. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am.
That's so wonderful, because I think there's new discoveries. I loved when I asked you about Irresistible, and you said, "Oh, let's go look at what that says," you know, because I feel like you're even rediscovering. And I think that's actually what could be so powerful about this book, is that depending on where you are in stages of life, the meanings could affect you differently, right? And different words could pop out at you. So what pops out at me today from what I bookmarked may not be the same a year from now.
That's right. That's right.
You know?
And also it's the kind of thing you keep next to your bed. Actually, there's a little game with it too. But the thing is that, so you open it, or it's great to give a gift to a young girl or to a friend or somebody who needs, because it's all uplifting. But it's not uplifting trying to schmooze you or trying to be delusional. It's being uplifting by showing you a mirror.
Yes.
And he say, the secret is inside you. The strength is inside you, because the only thing that we have complete control of is the character. We can lose our health, we can lose our wealth, we can lose our beauty, we can lose our freedom, but we never lose our character, even under torture. Because the character is that little house, the shelter inside ourselves. That's our strength.
Oh. Oh, well, I don't know if
That's what happens. That's what happened when you get to be old, a woman. That's what happened when. That's what happened with maturity.
Yes.
You can annoy people with advice. I mean, I had a mother who would give advice to everyone, and I used to hate it. All my friends used to come to her for advice, and now I'm 10 times worse.
Oh gosh, I bet it's great advice though. But actually, I want to talk about that, about being a daughter. It was another word in here that, of course, I was drawn to because I have a daughter. She's 11 and a half. And it is remarkable to be a daughter, to my mother, who has a very particular way of being, and then having a daughter and mothering her, and some of the similar things come out, but there are also ways in which I am a different mother to her, and ways that I think she's a different daughter than probably I was.
But that's also because she's still young. But I tell you that my daughter is now 50, and my granddaughter and her daughter is 20. Yeah. At the end, when you have a daughter, teenagers, first of all, you think they don't hear you. I mean, it doesn't matter what you say. They don't hear you because they pretend not to hear you. But I'm telling you, they do hear you. The power you have over a teenage daughter is so much bigger than you think. And you will only know that when you will hear her talk to her own daughter. Ooh. Remember me saying that.
Oh,
so this is what I said.
Yes.
This is what I said. Yes. To be a daughter and to have a daughter are very much the same thing. It's about needing love, giving it, sometimes resisting it, but all unconditionally. Because you resist, you resist. If you have a strong mother, I mean, you resist because it's you have a strong mother. I'm sure you resist.
Yes.
But when she's, my mother was so strong, but now I quote her all the time. And that's why the one word that I was the most careful about was children, because obviously my children are my worst judges, my strictest judge, right? It's normal because your children are made to criticize you. And so here's what I wrote for children.
First of all, I want to underline that children were made to criticize you. I love that. I'm writing that down too.
Yeah. I have 7 children, counting my 5 grandchildren. As all mothers do, I want more for them than I want for myself. I love them unconditionally and respect them, but also admire them, watching them to go into life owning who they are. As a young mother, I was very worried to be too strong and have an overpowering voice. So I made sure to give them plenty of space to express theirs. I certainly succeeded in that, as I am now often lovingly belittled by them. However, my dream of them becoming who they want to be is fulfilled. Your children belittle you. I mean, you could, that's, and I tell them, I say, listen, I need the appraisal of others because I'm not getting it in my family, which is not completely true, obviously. You know how they call me in my family? The goat.
Oh.
The goat. I'm the goat because I'm a Capricorn and I climb. Then much later, I found out that goat is also greatest of
all time.
But I didn't know that at the beginning.
But I think the relationships are so complicated, you know, and it is I am surprised to hear, you know, that you think that or in your experience that, you know, once your daughter was raising her own daughter, you could hear the influence that you had on her. And I find that to be inspirational because, you know, I think most of the time in mothering, gosh, I don't know about you, but I am so worried. You know, I'm worried that I'm doing it right or that I am giving her the best experiences.
The only way you should do is you should be honest. You should never lie to your children, because if it's better that you're not perfect than lying, you know. And for example, my mother told me that fear was not an option, right? So if I was afraid of the dark, she would lock me in a closet. Today, she would go to jail, right? But she made me fearless, you know? So I'm thankful. She never told me, be careful. She always pushed me ahead. Go for it. And I'm so thankful to that, you know? It's because what you want your children to be is independent, because you may not always be there and you don't want them to depend even of you, you know, so you have to push them. But now that I've seen your mother, I'm sure you're a great mother.
Well, thank you for that. I hope I am a good mother. But maybe
we'll have dinner, the three of us.
Exactly. Yes, the four of us. Exactly.
Yeah, I would love that.
Oh, I would.
Oh no, and I will bring my daughter and my granddaughter.
Exactly. And then that would be perfect. That would be the three generations all together. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. Because I think it also points to, like we said, the evolution of the relationships, you know? And do you think you're a different daughter? Or if you were to do it differently, or again, would you be a different daughter, you think, to your mother? Knowing what you know now?
Listen, I had no choice. I didn't have the opportunity to be different than my mother wanted me to be. I mean, I was not allowed to complain. I was not allowed to blame. I was not allowed to shame. And I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful for that. She was tough. She was a tiger mom, especially early on. But I am so thankful because she made me, and then she lost a little bit interest. My brother was born and she left me alone. And then she pushed me, she sent me to boarding school so that I would see a bigger world. And she always pushed me ahead. She never said, be careful, right? Most mother will say, be careful. I don't remember her ever saying to me, be careful.
Wow.
But
why do you think that that's so powerful? Why do you think that helps so much?
You know, my mother was a prisoner of war. She was, when she was 22, she was in a concentration camp for 13 months. She was forced into forced labor. She survived, she weighed 45 pounds. She wasn't meant to survive. She wasn't meant to have me, but I was born. And so she used to say, God saved me so that I can give you life. By giving you life, you gave me my life back. You are my torch of freedom. That's what she gave me. She gave me the torch of freedom. And that's powerful, but it's also heavy. You know, it's heavy. I mean, it's responsibility. But to give a child the responsibility of themselves is a gift.
Wow.
She also said something beautiful. I was talking to my brother this morning, and she used to say, I suffered for all of you. You don't need to suffer.
Yes. Well, I think that's part of the feeling that you said here, you know, about what you want for your children. you
That's
know.
right.
And I do believe that that is very true. But it can, like you said, it can be very heavy. And at the same time, I mean, it's always the two sides of a coin, you know, where it's
That's
like
right.
you've been given this heavy legacy,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then also in the middle of that, it's a lot of freedom, because then
But
you know that you are empowered, you know, to go forward.
that's right. But you see, I think responsibility is freedom. I think I must have read.
Let's read that.
I must have read
Yes, you
that.
did.
You know,
Responsibility. I remember that.
is it?
Where is
I
that?
don't know. I don't know if it, yeah, responsibility.
Mhm.
Contrary to common use of the word, taking responsibility is the key to freedom.
Mm.
Okay, so it's very funny, because if you think, you know, okay, I'm giving you the responsibility of that, right? So it's a burden, right? But
Yeah.
by receiving the responsibility, it means it's a key for freedom. It means that you are in charge. So we go back to in charge.
Yes, yes. Having that responsibility is freedom. I don't think I've ever heard that before.
I know. Well, I try to be provocative. I mean, you know, I like to be provocative, and I also like the yin and the yang, right? So if you see something that, then you have to say, yes, but what, you know? So
Yes.
I try always to find it. Yeah, I had actually a lot of fun doing it, and I'm really.
You can feel it in here. You know, one that I want to ask you about. I think in this day and age, especially at this time, a lot of people are finding their voice. You know, they're finding their voices in so many different ways. Whether it's about, you know, feeling othered, you know, about being a woman or being a person of color or being, LGBTQAI. Like I think this is a real reawakening. You know, I think there have been periods in time in history when people have found their voice as a community or individually. And right now, I feel very much that I have had a voice as a part of a community, but I am very much coming into my own voice. You know, what I feel and what I want and what I expect out of the world. And so I thought the part you had about voice is just so powerful. Would you
I don't
mind
remember.
that
I
part?
don't remember.
This is
UV.
what I love about you rediscovering some of these words.
Voice.
It's so good.
There's nothing I admire more than someone who can sing. Not in my case. My parents used to make fun of me so that they could laugh. I mean, they used to make me sing so that they could laugh. However, we don't need to sing to have a voice. Being successful at a young age gave me a voice, and gradually I understood the effect of using it. Using my voice, my knowledge, my experiences, and my connection to help others is the best gift I could have asked for. I mean, and you know, the truth is, you don't even need to be successful to have a voice. You don't need to, everyone has a voice, you know, and, but it is important to use your voice, you know, it is important to speak. It is important to say, because it's actually using your voice is a form of respect to yourself, right?
Yes.
I mean, like, you know, being in charge and committing to yourself, you know, owning who you are is really respecting who you are.
Yes.
And who are you going to respect if you don't respect if we don't respect ourselves, you know? So it's always goes back to the same thing, you know, you can't help anyone if you are not helped. You know, you cannot have a great relationship unless you have a good relationship with ourselves. You know, then any other relationship is a plus and not a must. And you don't want to be needy. You don't want to be needy. So it's the discovery and the relationship with ourselves and the dialogue with ourselves and the search and trying not to be delusional, but also each other, company, you know. When I go in the bathroom, very often I go to the bathroom and you know, when you go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, you see your shadow, and I wink at myself, or I say hi, you know, because I'm so used to me, and I like me, even dying, you know. I want to be able to live my death. I want to be able, I tell my children, you know, if you're not there, it's okay. You know, it's I want to make sure that I live that, you know. The truth is, I love life. I love life. I love the journey of life. I love every detail, and I'm discovering more and more the detail, you know. And the one thing we should talk about is the magic wand, because I think it's very important and it's very inspiring for everyone. We all have a magic wand. All have a magic wand. It's just a matter of knowing how to use it, and the practicing using it. Because the more we use it, the more valuable it is, and the more powerful it is. So I have, for example, a little game that I play with myself is I try to do a miracle every day. And you could do that because you're so powerful, you have such a big job and all that. You can introduce someone who knows nobody, and just via an email you can present it to somebody who's really powerful, and the way you present and the way you can make a miracle. And I'm telling you, I get so much joy. I made a big miracle lately, and it is, again, it's to a young man who knows no one and who graduated from college and who's a DACA, and I was trying to help him, and I say, how can I find you a job in the middle of COVID and everything? And I said, okay. So I tried to get passion out of it. Who is it that you admire the most? You know, who is it that, oh my God, I would love to be this person? And he told me this person. And I looked at him and I said, you know, I know him not very well, but I know him a little bit. But I do, let me check if I have his email. And I checked and I did have his email. I said, okay, you go back home and you write a letter to this person who you admire so much. And you put all the love and all the passion and all of the thing into this letter, and I will forward it. And he wrote a beautiful letter. And then I said, oh, how am I going to do this? And so my way to do it, and I'm telling you because I'm sure you will do it on the same. I said, so I wrote to this person. I say, I hope you're well, blah, blah, blah. And I have, you know, a game I play with myself, and I try to use my magic wand every day. And today my magic wand has to do with you. So here it is. And he did follow up.
That's incredible. I love that idea, because I think everyone feels the power of that. You know, whether you're the recipient of the magic wand, whether you are the one who can deliver. Yes, the one who can deliver on the magic, or the one holding the wand.
I know.
It's
but
such
I know, Boz, you're gonna do it. I know you're gonna do it.
I'm inspired by this because, you know, I actually was explaining this thought to somebody else the other day about experiences. You know, I love experiences. I love it better than any other physical thing. You know, being with people, you know, experiencing something together, right? With people that I love and care for. And I was explaining that I love to give experiences. You know, those, it's the gift that I love most. Because I like the joy in somebody else's face.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah. And so I really love that idea, and I want to take it on. How has magic been given to you? Like in what way? Has somebody?
Well, magic was given to me. My birth was magic. My mother wasn't supposed to survive. My mother she weighed 49 pounds. She was dead. She couldn't move. She was not supposed to survive, but she did survive, and she gave me life. And therefore, my birth was a miracle. So, I mean, the minute I was born, I had won. And you know, that's also another thing, is that sometimes, you read the paper and the problems are so huge. You say, what can I do as a person? But the truth is, you save one life only. But behind that one life, there's an entire dynasty. And so there's not one life that's too small, too little.
Oh, I just love everything. Love everything about this.
It's a good one. I've had a lot of conversation. This is so far my favorite one.
Oh, that's so good. Well, thank you for saying that, because this is definitely my favorite. I have taken so many nuggets out of this conversation. I'm telling you, this book is just, talk about magic. This
What
book is
sign are you?
magic.
What sign are you?
I am a triple Aquarius.
Oh, that's like both children and my husband. What day?
Oh, January 21st.
Oh, so you're almost a Capricorn.
Almost, but I'm right over there. I'm right over there.
I am a Capricorn.
What day is your birthday?
New Year's Eve.
Oh, New Year's Eve. That is so wonderful. Talk about magical. You are magic. Everything is magic. I mean, no wonder. It's like magic is just coming out of you constantly. I mean, that's incredible.
I could be a loser too. I could feel like a loser.
Well, I have felt like a winner today. So thank you so much.
You are a winner.
Amazing,
you are a role model. I admire you. I respect you. And I love you. Thank you for having me.
So much. Thank you. This has been such a pleasure. I can't wait to reread the book too, because I'm sure I'll find more things in there.
All right. So we have some audience questions for you. Here's the first one. Some things are tough to teach. I feel women are more empathetic, and empathy, I feel, is a sign of strength and character and essential to a good working team. Any recommendations on teaching empathy? Or how can we make it rub off on some of the men I work with?
Okay, empathy is a word that I actually discovered fairly recently. And let me read what I wrote. Empathy is the ability to feel, share, and understand other people's suffering and emotion. It is a practice, a habit, and a way of being. Empathy is the highest of human values because it nurtures compassion and kindness. If we all practice empathy a little bit every day, we would shift the planet into human kindness. So maybe give that to your boss.
All right. And the next question, somebody says, I feel I am ready to embark on my own, but something is holding me back. Have you ever had such a feeling, and what advice do you have?
I cannot say that the feeling of holding back is something that's familiar to me. And I think it has to do with the fact that my mother always pushed me ahead. All I can tell you is that the only thing we regret are the things we don't do. So just do it.
Very good. All right. Here's another question. I'm in sales and business development, and I often run into no. It's often the easiest answer the person on the other side of a meeting or a desk or a phone call can give me. And they may genuinely not be interested. What is your advice on turning a no into a maybe or a why not?
Well, they may not be interested at all. But a good trick, I think, with negotiation, or if you're selling something, or if you're selling yourself, is always think of the negative they have against you, or the negatives they have against the proposal, and you bring it up. And so if you bring it up first, you have a chance of neutralizing it.
Okay. Could you talk about the role of luck in success?
Oh, luck exists. Luck absolutely exists. I must have the word luck. KL. Luck exists. Here is what I wrote. Luck is an invisible protection and a friendly wink to our destiny. So, you know, we do not control our destiny. I mean, we do not control our destiny. A man that I respect very much, his grandmother survived the genocide, Armenian genocide, and he said, you know, the destiny is something you cannot control, but what you can control is your character. So, but luck, I do believe that being kind protects your karma, and that has something to do a little bit with luck. But I cannot be arrogant to say that I know anything about luck. But I think to be good and to be close to yourself and to practice truth and to be as cleansed as possible of resentment and blame and all these toxic things, I do think that helps luck.
How do you handle criticism, Diane?
How do I think I'm open to criticism. Well, it depends. I mean, if I respect the person, and then I definitely pay a lot of attention to criticism. If I don't respect the person, then I just brush it out. But I don't get offended or anything like that. No, I don't waste my time on that.
Time is one of the most valuable assets we have. We cannot bank it. We either use it or lose it. I want to know how you manage your time.
My God. I don't know. I do so much. But I try not to be frantic. I try to take time for things. This is what I wrote. Once upon a time. What time is it? Time to go. Time is a word we use on the daily basis without paying attention to its powerful meaning. It measures everything and cannot be retained. It stretches from eternity to the furthest future. True wisdom is knowing the value of time. So it's also about respecting time and therefore not waste your time, holding grudges and just throw away the fear, the blames, all the jealousy, envy, all of those things, and value time and value your time, and just like you value yourself.
A couple more questions. Diane, could you talk about failure? What is your experience with it, and how do you use it to your advantage?
I have failed many times, many times. And what I do, or what we do, is I own it. And therefore I take, there's always, okay, this didn't happen. So you turn things around, and maybe you turn things around and something great happened to a point that you don't even remember that it starts with a failure. Wait a minute, I don't have the word failure. Maybe I didn't have it. Let me see. No, I don't. So that's a good sign. But I do mention failure as part of winning. So failure is something that failure is, we all fail, and we don't have to, it doesn't have to be the end of the world. You fail this, okay, own it and move on. And by moving on, you may go to another lane, and that other lane may be better. And then you turn around and say, oh my God, imagine I used to want that and I failed. Another good trick. This is a great trick. Remember that when you fail or when you get bad press or you get bad call, whatever, remember that those things make the best anecdotes if you ever write a book or if you tell your story.
Tell us about how we turn our weaknesses into strength.
Oh, that's a practice. You do that all the time. That's what owning is. That's what this book is about. That's what owning is whatever it is, whatever, whatever weakness, whatever vulnerability, if you own it, it automatically becomes an asset.
The next question is it's a good question. It's framed from the vantage of social media. She says, I feel social media has split us into being on one side or another, right or wrong, largely driven by opinions. What is your advice on how to listen to people I disagree with?
I think it's important to listen to people we don't, except when it's just blatantly lies. That's difficult. Listen, social media is, of course it's bad. Of course it's pressure for, for teenage girls and things, but it's also extraordinary. It's extraordinary to be able to, if you think, Facebook, it's this community, this huge community. I mean, it's technology, and it has pros and it has cons, but we cannot go against it. So I think that you don't have to agree. I think it's good to know what people think. But what I hate about what's happening now is like people, they just want to talk about what they think. And it brings me to freedom, right? Your freedom stops when it infringes someone else's. So you are free to say whatever you want, but not to a point that it stops me from my freedom.
A couple last questions. The question here says, I recently heard Adam Grant at Live Talks LA talking about his book, Think Again, about going through the process of changing your own personal opinion on something and revisiting it and looking at it differently and changing your outlook on something. Have you experienced that recently? What are your thoughts about that?
Yes, of course. Only idiots don't change their mind. Yeah, of course. I think you should be open that, yeah, you may think, oh, you know what? I didn't think about that way. And yes, I really do think only idiots don't change their mind.
And the final question, she says, DVF, thank you for the wrap dress, a great gift to humanity. My question is, how have you dressed during the pandemic?
Oh, well, I'm in the country, and so, lots of sweaters and pants, but then you get dressed and you do Zooms yeah, cozy and pretty and comfortable, whether it's at home or anywhere.
Well, that brings us to the end of a lovely conversation. Thank you, Diane, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you so much.
Oh, this has been my pleasure. Thank you so much. And congratulations, Diane, on this book. It's remarkable. And
I see you very soon.
Okay, I will. Thank you. And thank you, Ted.
You bet. And a reminder, Diane's new book is Own It, The Secret to Life, and it is available wherever books are sold.